Welcome back to the front stretch. This is Turn 4, presented by Kaziski Auto Parts at 50th and I Street in Omaha. Looking to salvage your car or get it back on the road in running condition? Give Andrew, Joe, or one of the great salespeople over at Kaziski Auto Parts a call today at 731-4592. You can also stop by their store at 50th and I Street, just off of L. It's about a block and a half north of 50th and L Street. Great location right there in Midtown. You can't miss it, and it's a great way to get your car back on the road in a rather inexpensive way of doing it rather than going to a parts store and paying a mechanic to do it. You can just do it yourself.
That is correct. Everything there is about 50% off, kind of what a dealer would sell everything for, and it's always in good shape. We're not going to give you no junk.
And I think we've all complained about, like, if I go to a Ford dealership and I need to have my alternator replaced, and I'm like, oh yeah, an alternator for a 2004 Range is like $400. Come on, guys. I'll go down to Kaziski Auto Parts and I'll get it for much less than $400.
Go see Andrew and the boys. They'll take good care of you.
Well, today Andrew is going to be talking about the SLMR series, something I got to experience last week, had an amazing time at, and you're going to be talking about the return of, or not rather the return of, but just another great season of the SLMR series and what they've got in store for this season. A lot of growth to it.
Basically, yeah, this series has become so much bigger and better. We have a few of these late model racing series. SLMR stands for Super Late Model Racing, but really we have the MLRA, which is kind of the Kansas, Missouri area, and they come a little bit to Nebraska, but really this is a sanctioning series that's kind of affordable for late model racers. It's what we see on a weekly show on Friday nights, and it's a series where it's basically all around Nebraska, hits a little bit of South Dakota, hits over in the Iowa areas. The past 2 years they've had this series, I mean, there's been no contingency. It hasn't been too big of a series. Since they've grown to get 30 to 40 cars each race, they got all kinds of new sponsors. This year on the schedule, they got 17 nights. They, of course, like you said, they ran one last week, I-80 Speedway. The next race is May 12th at McCool Junction Motor Speedway. But I just kind of want to throw out here, for all the racers that are listening and everybody that's listening, how big this can be. Here's just some sponsors we had for this year, and I'll tell you what they sponsor for. The main sponsors is Malvern Trust Bank, Action Signs, also known as Speedway Graphics, Bernheisel Race Cars, Dynamic Decals, Hoosier Racing Tires, Kaiser Wheels, Performance Body, Sardison Racing, Schwartz Race Cars, VP Fuels, and Zeitner & Sons. Now, what each of these things do, there's about 6-7 things they do every single race. Each event, the Hard Charger Award, basically the guy that passes the most cars, gets one brand new Hoosier tire. Hoosier tire costs $140 in this series. So if you came from... let's say you had a terrible heat race. You had to run the B, you start dead last. You get up to 10th place. You could be the hard charger and earn yourself a brand new tire. A $50 Bernheisel gift certificate for the Hard Luck Award, which is somebody had a bad night, blew their engine up, which Bernheisel sells laser chassis, but he also sells a lot of parts as well.
And who was that? We watched a couple of guys on Friday night over at I-80 that I tell you, there was 2 or 3 drivers that were just moving through the field, but all of a sudden got collected and just had bad days. And so these guys would qualify for that award, correct?
That is correct. The guy that actually, the Hard Charge Award was Mike Collins, who came from 13th place to 2nd, and Brian Kinkle got the Hard Luck Award. He was out there kind of racing. Was running about 14th area, and man, he just had problems all night. Heat race, he had to come in, and then he had to come in again for the feature. So he ends up getting the Hard Luck Award. They give a $50 VP Fuels card to the driver with the most passing points in the heat race. Bill Layton Jr. was the guy that did that. He come from like 6th and ended up winning his heat, which earned the most points.
Hold on. Has somebody mentioned Bill Layton Jr. before Buddy Ray?
I think that happened.
This is odd. Buddy, you're a little silent. Are you getting a little irritated at the end of the show, or
no? I'm just enjoying the great programming that Andrew's giving us all.
I think he's kind of liking it. He's thinking about getting a late model. Maybe.
I was all excited. I got to meet the legendary Bill Layton Jr. on last Friday night when I was over at I-80. So it was good to put a face to the name that I've heard so much about.
The only thing I'm going to say is, where did Bill Layton finish and where did Andrew finish?
I doubt that's going to be the only thing you're going to say.
Once I get finished, we'll talk about that. They give a $25 gift certificate to the First Man Out Award. That comes from Sardison Racing. So basically the first guy that did not make the show. So they had 2 B features last week, and they took the top 3. So the 4th place cars in both B, which was Alonzo Gross and Dustin Ria, they both got that $25 award from Sardison, which, again, that could be anything you could need. You could be sitting there at the racetrack. You could need a box of tear-offs. about $20, $25. Am I right, bud? And
Oh,
right there,
absolutely.
you can use it.
And the one thing I want to go into with that, with the $25 gift certificate, how many times have you been at the track, Andrew? I mean, we got $3,000, $4,000 motors. We got, like you said, the Hoosiers, $100, $140 a tire. But how many times is it the $25 stuff that we really need that's really detrimental to our program that night? So, it sounds like it ain't a whole lot. That $25 goes a long, long ways in the sport that we all love to do.
So.
And it was Scott Carlson that had the problem a couple weeks ago. We were watching that he was charging through the field and the drive shaft yoke.
No, the yoke on the pinion broke. When's the last time you'd seen that happen?
Not too many times you see that happen, honestly.
I think he'd taken second place at that time, and he was charging for first. And
he was charging for first.
Coming out of turn 2, just nothing there.
He David Rudem in it.
Yeah. Well, except he got off the track in time. He didn't just keep putzing around.
Couple more. You guys are killing me.
No, we don't get sidetracked at all.
No, not at all.
A couple more of the good awards here. A $50 gift certificate from Action Sign Speedway Graphics. This is for the driver that was the last to qualify. They take 18 in passing points. If you're that lucky 18th guy, you get a $50 gift certificate to Speedway Graphics. And also the guy that wins the A feature that night gets a $50 gift certificate to Kaiser Wheels. That's a half a wheel right there. You win 2, you get a free wheel at the end of the year. And then for the championship, the people that run 75% of the races, if you win in a laser chassis, they will give you a brand new laser chassis. Right now, there's only 3 guys that run a laser chassis in the series. So if any one of those 3 guys win, they get a brand new chassis. And if you run a Schwartz, it's $1,500 off, which is basically 50% off a Schwartz chassis.
So what's a laser chassis you generally run?
$3,500 for just a bare frame. So basically, that's what they're going to give you. So that's another $3,500 added on to the $3,500 safe that they already have going for the points champion. Second place gets a brand new nose piece from Performance Bodies. Third place gets 1 barrel of fuel, 55-gallon drum, about $600 to $700. It depends on what the price is then. Fourth place gets 2 brand new Hoosier tires. Fifth place gets a brand new nose piece. Sixth gets $100 off a barrel of fuel. 10th gets $100 off a barrel of fuel, and 15th gets $100 off a barrel of fuel. And then the last little contingency awards they got is the year-long hard charge awards. Whoever passes the most cars in the whole season gets $1,000 from Hoosier. That's a big deal right there. That's almost 10 tires you can get. $50 off dynamic decals for Rookie of the Year. So sometimes a wrap costs $800.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Bud, you just had one done. That's only a $400 deal right there. You get to pick anything you want. It's a wrap.
Yep.
There's a drawing for a barrel of fuel at the end of the year at the banquet, and then top 10 points receive $100 to $200 off Supreme Wrap package from Action Signs and Speedway Graphics. I mean, basically, this series has jumped so much from when it first started. There was about 10 followers when the series first started. Now I think we got 20 to 25 members, and this is just something that's cheap, and it's always good racing. It's so competitive. Many guys, I mean, we get out to Norfolk, Nebraska, Jefferson, South Dakota, Wagner, South Dakota, Columbus, Lexington, Harlan, Iowa, Corning, Iowa, and then, of course, at I-80 and McCool Junction the most out of all the places they race at. But this series is growing so much. It's a good place to go. It's affordable. And, I mean, if you want to be the next step to a guy that races full-time, the SLMR series is definitely the way to go. I happen to run the series, and I enjoy it a lot. If I didn't run weekly, I would definitely be in this series, and I'd definitely go to every race and watch. I mean, it's something – if a guy that loves racing, loves late model racing, he can get out, travel to these places, and go. There's not very many, 17 races. He can get to every single one of them.
That's awesome. And is it too late in the season for a driver to sign up for this series?
No, it is not. Like I said, the next race is May 12th. Now, a guy that thinks he's going to try to win the points might be tough. He missed the first night, but Kyle Burke won the points, and I think he missed 2 nights. That's how far he was in the league. But Kyle Burke's kind of in a league of his own. But, I mean, there's a few guys. Travis Dickies, I think, could have missed a race last year, and he was our 2011 SLMR champion.
Well, Jimmy Johnson pretty much could have essentially missed a race as his result for Daytona. Now he started the 2012 NASCAR series, and look at where he's at. So just because you're in a hole doesn't mean you can't dig your way out and have a good season and win yourself some of these awesome prizes.
You betcha.
No, and the nice thing I like about the SLMR series is it's so competitive. You're not watching the same guy every week at every track run away. You have a variety of track sizes and configurations on the schedule. You know, you're going to have guys that run good at the half-mile tracks but may struggle at the bull rings and vice versa. So you never know who's who's going to win or who's got a shot until you actually get there. And the nice thing is, like you said, it's so cost affordable to be in the series, Andrew, that the low dollar guy from Norfolk or Lexington or something like that is every bit as competitive as the well-funded guy from I-80 or whatnot because of the different track sizes and configurations in the competition out there. It's a great series.
It's not the same track every single week.
No.
That, for instance, let's say just because, Andrew, your father and your family owns I-80 Speedway, you've probably had an advantage to being able to go out there and run a little bit more than your everyday guy has. So it wouldn't be that it's always at I-80, so you've got a little bit of an upper hand. It's that it is a circulating series and that you've got to master all the tracks in order to have a good day.
Well, that's true. I honestly don't get out there during the week one. My dad actually, he doesn't let that happen. First off, because it's not really good track condition. You're not learning nothing anyway. I bet you I've only been out there 4 Monday mornings, and that's when I first started. So no, I don't get out there all the time. But yeah, I mean, it goes from I-80 to McCool Junction. We go to Adams County Speedway, then up to Norfolk, the Bull Ring. I mean, we're going from Corning to the Bull Ring, and then we go up to Raceway, which is a bull ring in South Dakota. I mean, it's seriously, I don't know if we're going to fit 20 cars on the track. I mean, that's how small that track is. I mean, anybody could run. Jason O'Brien was the winner last week at I-80 Speedway.
Looked great.
Looked great. I mean, Collins came from the back. Both designers look good. We usually have about half the races. We'll have probably, at a 17, we'll probably have 12 to 13 different winners. And you never know who could win. I mean, everything is so close. There's like 5 different engine packages you can have. They'll just restrict them down, weigh them. You can spend as much money as you want, but you're going to get restricted down and race with the guy that only has a $5,000 engine. He could beat you that night.
And you said the next race was when?
Saturday, May 12th, in McCool Junction at Junction Motor Speedway.
Great track, great racing.
So what do you guys have coming up? When's your next racing?
Next weekend. I will be the kickoff of my NASCAR Well and All-American Series at McCool Junction.
And Bud?
Mine, I'm coming up April 20th, Eagle Raceway, the annual icebreaker. We're going to make Dead Last look sexy.
Now, your car actually ran last weekend at I-80. Who'd you have running for you?
We had Scott Carlson, Porky Scott Carlson, or they call him Superman Scott Carlson. A lot of people call him other stuff that ain't fit for air, but...
I wonder if he listens to this show because I know that we've made fun of him. Well, you've made fun of him a couple of times, and he still drove your car at I-80 on last Saturday night.
Well, yeah, he's a hell of a guy. Great guy, nice guy, great driver. I think he's one of the winningest active still driving drivers in all classes. I think he's got something somewhere between 300 and 400 wins, but he's driven modifieds, pro-ams, hobby stocks, late models. I think if you gave him a wheelbarrow with a 5-horse Briggs motor, he'd drive it. But he took the car out. He took the Joe's Karting car out last Saturday, and we found out we had a few things wrong with the car. We didn't expect it to be a top 10 car, and he got it up to 4th until a yellow came out, and we ended up settling for 7th, so it was a good run. The car was running good, so we're happy with it. So we're just, getting the car fixed, and we'll be back out the 20th.
And so just, April 20th, and that's going to be where at again?
Eagle Raceway for the annual icebreaker.
It's going to be a great, great event. Make sure you guys check it out. As always, we want to thank everybody who joined us today. Pat Warren, president of Kansas Speedway, we want to thank him for joining us for a little bit in Turn 3 as he talked about the upcoming changes to Kansas Speedway and talked about how tickets are still available. 1 week from today, we're going to be back at Kansas for the STP 400 for the Sprint Cup and the SFP 250 for the Truck Series, guys. So make sure you guys head to kansasspeedway.com, pick up your tickets for this weekend's race. We want to thank Pat for joining us today, and a great interview with Mr. Warren from Kansas Speedway. Guys, thanks again for another great weekend. We hope you guys enjoyed the show. Make sure you tune in next week as we're going to have a World of Outlaw driver on. They're going to be at Eagle Raceway coming up in a couple of weeks, and we'll be talking with one of those drivers from World of Outlaw as we nail down exactly who. Kansas is our next race. Real quick, who do you think is going to win there?
You know what? I'm really going to go with Andrew's prediction here in the last few weeks. You've been rooting for Earnhardt Jr. He's looking good. He's running good. And I think it's just a matter of time before we see him sneak out a win. He's ran good before at Kansas. He's had some times, he's not too good, but I got my eye on Earnhardt.
Andrew?
Jeff Gordon.
I'm going to go with last year's October winner and the guy who absolutely sailed away with it, Jimmy Johnson. Before they redesign that track, before they repave it, I think Jimmy Johnson and Chad Canals have got that track figured out. He had it from the very beginning. That car was absolutely fast. Just seemed to be running on 9 cylinders rather than just 8. I'm going to go with Jimmy Johnson to get his win this weekend. So you've got Earnhardt, buddy?
I've got Earnhardt.
Gordon for Andrew, and I'm going to pick Jimmy Johnson. We'll find out in 1 week. Well, yeah, in 1 week who's going to get that win. So thanks
like
again
we
for
all
joining
got
us.
Hendricks cars.
That's true.
Yeah.
Not a bad organization to pick from week to week, right?
I pick Hendricks to win.
Not fair. Well, I don't think we're going to bet on the 5. But anyways, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it. This has been The Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.